Hello, excited crypto geeks, investors, and whales. Welcome back to the show where we meet real people in crypto. People who are involved with some of the hottest projects out there and regular people just like yourselves. We want to hear your stories, so if you are interested in being on the show, we'd love to have you. Don't forget to contact us through social media or email me directly, ℚ𝕦𝕝𝕝𝕝@amund.com. Welcome to the 14th episode of the Inside Crypto podcast. This episode was recorded on October 11th, 2021. Today we are joined by Rad, one of the lead developers behind a very interesting organization, redsea Crypto. He used to work for a very large media organization that we can't name, but during the course of that work is where this exciting stuff that we're going to talk about today came about. You don't want to miss this episode because it will most likely turn the way you invest on crypto on its head. Thanks everyone for listening, and don't forget to tune in next week where we meet somebody else, some interesting stories, insights, news, who knows. See you guys next time. Hi crypto people, I have something very unique for you today. It is my pleasure to welcome Rad to the show. He used to work at a very large, not to be named media organization. It was at this organization that he worked on a project with the purpose of trying to predict events that could be reported on first. You're probably wondering how this relates to crypto, but believe me, we will get there. But before we do, don't forget to head over to our website, www.amund.com, AMUN. You can read about our products, DeFi and DMX there. You can also buy the tokens there. If you have any feedback about this episode, you can reach me at Crin, @amund.com. As usual, I have to do the disclaimer. Anything said by either Rad or myself does not constitute financial advice. Our opinions are our own and not to be connected with our respective employers. Please do your own research. Because it's just Rad today, we can spend more time talking about himself if he wants to do that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I guess I have a software development background. I've been programming for quite a long time, I guess since I was 8 years old. And I haven't really actually been so involved in crypto. I remember the first time I heard about it, my friend was like, hey, we got to buy these Bitcoins. And I'm like, man, what are you talking about? And now I know that friend now, like, I think he owns quite a lot of property. And yeah, I guess it always really piqued my interest of what the possibilities were. But throughout my time, I guess I've been working in a whole host of different industries and really saw that all these skills that I was developing along the way were converging on this space. So it wasn't really like something I feel like I gravitated towards it rather than really sort it out.
Very cool. What made you finally decide to, you've explained this to me on Telegram before, what made you finally decide to, okay, this is the year I'm going to start this crypto thing that I've started? And was it family, friends, just personal motivation?
No, when I was working for this large media organization, we were really cutting the edge. We weren't doing stuff that I guess was just like run-of-the-mill software development. I was heading up an innovation team. So we had to read quite a lot of research papers. And one of the papers I stumbled across was doing similar things to what I'm doing now. And it was a really interesting paper where it kind of talked about how they were using some social analytics to predict the movements in cryptocurrencies and even in stock markets. And it had really good results. And then the paper just ended with, the results were inconclusive. It kind of, the summary, the end of the paper was completely disjointed. And then there was no follow-up research from there. So that's what really initially piqued my interest and thought, hey, there might be something here.
Given your knowledge and skills, what made you decide to say, okay, this paper is not finished, I'm gonna test out this theory or hypothesis? I mean, that takes a lot of motivation from someone with your background and experience. You could have done something easy. Why take the difficult route of doing what you're doing right now?
I think the initial drive was really trying to prove something. I think it's something you can work on your own and really just pour your time in. It's not connected, doesn't require you to work with a lot of people. And ultimately, the pursuit originally was just to prove it to myself. I feel like I had the right skill set. I had quite a lot of experience in working across a lot of these things. And that's how it initially started, is I just wanted to find out. I had a hunch. I talked about it with some people, and the trail of those research papers ran cold. So I thought I'd actually go and try and see, like maybe spend like a month or two working on something and just see what comes of it.
Nice. I'm glad you did, because from the stuff you've already shown me and some of the stuff our viewers and listeners are going to see, I can't use a bad word because this is family friendly, but it's pretty amazing, for lack of a better word. Let us move on. Thanks for letting our listeners and viewers get to know you. I know privacy is a core tenet of the crypto community, and I'm a big believer in transparency. Before we get to talk about your organization, I want to let our listeners know that the nature of the questions I will be asking you is very vague, because I know the way the internet is, and we just talked about this before the show started, is people can get doxxed, people can sue, and lots of things can happen, and I don't want you to get into trouble, because I really think you have a fantastic product and I want it to launch and be successful. So that's the second disclaimer out of the way. So our first question, why is the name of your organization?
I guess there's a lot in the name, but it comes from, I guess, the biblical stories of Moses, and people like the actual Telegram robot that are part of the beta group is actually Moses, and that's the robot that makes those predictions. Or we wanted to make a play on the word prophet, so it's just really for profit, but a kind of alternative use of the word. And what did Moses do? What is he most known for? He parted the Red Sea. That's where Red Sea crypto comes from. There's a lot loaded into that word, into that name. The Red Sea, when cryptos are hemorrhaging and everyone's losing money, people say it's the Red Sea. And so for our users, what we really want to do is, and Moses, hopefully our crypto robot, it's actually Moses the bot, is what we were just trying to have a little bit of fun with things when we began. I think that we've definitely progressed beyond that though. But yeah, that's where the name originated.
That's so cool. I had guessed Red Sea was something to do, with the crypto Red Sea stuff, but parting the Red Sea and Moses, that's very cool. And biblical proportions is also really cool as well to describe things. Do you want to tell people, any way you want to describe it, what exactly you want to do? You've gone over it a little bit. What are you guys selling, or what is the service you're offering, and what's the value proposition to be all business like?
So what we want to do is we want to basically do a data analytics platform, but we want to go the exact opposite direction that a lot of, I wouldn't say our competitors, but other people in this space are doing. So when you go on like other, and I don't want to mention, probably everybody knows who they are. If you look at who the number one people in the social data space about cryptocurrencies is, what they try to do is I feel like they are valuable and they do offer a lot of their products and services for free, but they give you so much information. You get analytics on Twitter, Reddit, Telegram, Discord, and there's all these percentages, all these values, and they have their own score on top of it. And so you go there, and really all I see is confirmation bias. If you want to know why you should buy something you've already decided, or why you should something, you go there and you see it. It's really, for me, we wanted to go the other way. We wanted to try and take as much of that data as we can, filter out what we don't think is valuable, although it might be easy for us to sell because people want more data. But for us is that we actually go and try and validate what is valuable, what is can rely on more consistently, roll that all up into one or two signals and surface that. That way we can take a lot of the kind of legwork, the hard work out of that information for our users. And our users can then spend that time further researching their decisions, whether they're going to invest or whether they're going to sell something or whether they're going to get into something, rather than just be overwhelmed by a sea of information.
That's really cool, because I do find that as somebody who got into crypto in 2017, and when I started like actively investing probably about a year and a half ago, there's so much information. And for regular people like me, I'm pretty busy. I don't have time to go through all these details and explain what is this, what is RSI, what is MA, and all this stuff, and then spend time researching the data and looking at different things. And why did you decide to go down the simplification route? Did people come to you and say, hey, Red, there's just too much here, or did something you just saw in the space, or what was your reasoning behind simplifying all this extra data that you mentioned, percentages and analytics? And
because I started from I started with the hypothesis, I guess, like what I was going to start with, like with a certain generating a certain type of signal. And I guess for me, I didn't approach it from like that angle. I went in reverse, and I saw that was valuable. In keeping check with all my friends and other people, I guess what I did discover, and this is why we decided to go further down this route, was you have people that like they scour, like they read everything a certain crypto, and they're advocating about it. They're like, oh, Cardano, this is going to be big, and you've got to get in, and they're just anxiously waiting for something to happen, and it gets really exhausting after a while. And what I found, what I was experiencing when I was just testing this system on my own, I found that I knew about Cardano, which I'm sure everybody knows about Cardano, but I knew about it without actually knowing what it was. I didn't have to do any research about Cardano to know that there was something hot there. And it was much less exhausting. And that's where it dawned on me that this would be a very valuable product. That's really what happens with a lot of crypto investors. Is it is quite exhausting, and that a lot of this information is just confirmation bias, or it's really hard to separate out what is hype or what is being echoed to you because it's trying to influence you or convince you on something. Yeah, that's how I arrived at this and decided, well, we'll go the other way.
You mentioned signals a few times. What are these signals you're talking about for people who don't know? And I'm actually also a little bit unclear as to what signals mean.
When I say signal, like a piece of information. So it could be like we could call the RSI as that could be a signal. Like the MACD, that could be what I consider a signal. But for us, one thing we aren't very clear on, because we've rolled up quite a lot of pieces of information into one thing, and we just call it a signal. It's I think at the moment we're calling it the redsea social signal.
Oh, nice. Cool. I like that. The continuous branding going on there. Okay, so that explains signal perfectly, and I understand it as well. Your product, who are you looking to sell it to? Are you looking to like full-time day traders, people like me who I have a weekend every once in a while where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check my portfolio, buy this, sell this, check this out, stake this, put this in this yield farm? Is it for everybody? Is it just for a few people?
There's one product that we have at the moment that we're beta testing, and we're actually developing quite a large number of different ones, but we're not in a point where we're willing to release them to, I guess, people we don't like know very well, just because they're raw. So at the moment, it's probably good for portfolio management. So people who, and I'm sorry if I'm not really the best on this, a lot of this I learn very quickly, but portfolio managers, like not people who are holding maybe one to 10 cryptos or 20 cryptos, and they're looking to have the larger amount of growth than just holding it in one or just investing in BTC. So the current product that we're beta testing, it really does help with that. We'd like to hope that the market expands and shrinks, and there's a lot of hysteria. So people, especially the last couple of weeks, you would have seen there's quite a lot of volatility, and not all the coins come back. Once everyone gets over the China banning cryptocurrency for the 100th time, once people go, oh, it's actually false alarm, everything's fine, and the cryptos start to bounce back, they don't all go back to their same points in time. And knowing which coins to be holding at any point in time is, I think that's where the value is in the current product that we have. And yeah, so I guess it would be the most applicable for people like that. And I think it's quite a large proportion of the people I've spoken to. That's really, a huge part of the amount of people that are trading crypto at the moment.
Definitely. It sounds like you must be using it as well at the moment, I imagine. In your personal experiences, how do you feel about it at the moment? Again, be as vague as you want to be. Are you happy with the way the progress has been going?
Yeah, definitely. When I was first, I guess, working out the best way to interact with the data, I had a lot of good results. And then I thought I'd try new things, and they didn't go as well. And I was like, oh, better get back to the way. So now, like, one part of what I'm doing is, especially as we're growing this business, and I guess have to prove its value to people who want to try and bring on board to the team and things like that. What I've done is I have a Binance account where I exclusively will only trade on that information. So there's been situations where some friends like, hey, look, trust me, you have to buy Alice right now. Trust me, do it. And these aren't like, these are sure thing pieces of information, but I've not allowed any of that money or that portfolio to be used, because I really, if I'm going to be telling people or trying to convince people about something, I need to try and be as objective as possible. And there's nothing more objective than just showing what trading blindly on these signals has done. And yeah, I've been able to definitely, within a pretty large bound, I don't want to share the exact numbers, outpace the largest cryptos like ETH or BTC. We've been able to stay ahead of that trend more than 20%.
Oof,
So it's been a bit
that's
crazy.
something.
And yeah, it's been, at the beginning it was hard because people were like, why would I bother do that when I could just keep all my money in BTC? And that's, yeah, sure. it's hard to argue with that because you just put it in there and you just forget about it for a couple of years. But for the people that are really interested in crypto and really want to have manage their portfolio better, I think this is what we're trying to produce is really the easiest way. I think it's the least energy intensive rather than being staying fully up to date with everything that happens about every crypto you're holding. So
I totally agree because I mean, before my current job working at ℚ𝕧, I used to check Twitter multiple times a day, read Google News, go on everything, and social media is just tiring. And now that I'm working in crypto, I really don't want to read it because I'm just tired after the workday. So I think this is fantastic. One thing I wanted to ask is like why is social media a better indicator of the crypto market than, let's say, other sources of data? Like people who might use, and again, because you didn't name those companies, I'm not going to name them as well, but who might use certain very famous crypto analytics companies that exist in America and Europe and other places. And why social media data the best indicator or a good indicator?
I guess I can give you my opinion on it.
Sure.
And really, all these things echo each other. We were speaking before about technical analysis and some people going, oh, maybe that doesn't apply anymore as much. But it only, if it's really with any market, it's all speculation. So if enough people think something's going to apply, then it will apply. So let's say that these crypto analytic services or whatever it is, it could just be like a very believed event, technical analysis event that's going to occur. That will be talked about on social media. And so both sides reflect each other in some way, not accurately, not 100%, but you're going to see ripples of that information in all areas because they're all in effect. But I think that with social media, especially, people love to justify why they think it's going to happen. So that bleeds in and you'll be able to see it if you're keeping a close enough eye on who's talking about what and all that stuff that we're capturing.
Very cool. Thanks for that, because that is something I was always interested in is like I'm on social media pretty often, and it's very interesting to see the stuff people talk about. And the latest breaking news is that Shiba Inu broke into the top 20 crypto coins by market cap, and people on Reddit were asking, why is this so? Why is this happening? And it's just because, like you mentioned as well, if enough people believe something is gonna happen. I was on a phone call with a guy from India on Saturday, and he was like, his cousin put 1,500 USD in rupees into Shiba Inu, and he was like, yeah, when it hits 1 rupee, I'm gonna sell all of this and buy a 3-bedroom apartment in India. And I'm like, is your cousin sure he wants to do that? But like you said, there it is if enough people do something, something is gonna happen. Moving on from social media, when I was putting this script together, you pointed out SafeMoon, so I'm gonna show this to our viewers at the moment. It says chatter anomaly, SafeMoon, current 41.0, threshold 37.43, factor 1.10, and you've got the timeline September 20th to September 28th. Do you want to listen on what is that about and talk about the graph and the data and stuff as much as you're able to, of course?
No, definitely. Okay, I shared this because this is what our beta users see. You're basically in a Telegram chat room, and Moses posts that it doesn't say anything but just posts these graphs. And Moses posted this because that blue line you see shifted all the way to the right, that's the signal that we generate. And when it breaks through a threshold, which is that red line, it basically will alert you. It'll be posted in the Telegram. So that's as simple as it is. And that's what we want to try and do. We want to keep things really simple to understand. We could probably make it even simpler, but I feel like this is enough for the beta users. So what we're seeing here is, okay, it looks like SafeMoon hasn't been doing very well. It's been dropping. But I guess it's come up with a pretty big alert. If you look at like the normal amount of chatter, it's been quiet. And now there's been some anomalous amount of social activity that we've garnered. We don't cast an infinitely wide net. This isn't just a total count of everything. We've aggregated it and we filter out quite a lot because we want to make sure that we're trying to reduce the amount of false positives that we get. So this system doesn't alert you thousands of times a day. It probably has 1 to 3 alerts a day.
And is it set up for particular currencies, or is it in the sense that you have 50 cryptos being monitored and people who are betas in your Telegram group will see this pop up and say, okay, this is the alert for SafeMoon, this is the alert for Cardano, this is the alert for Solana? Is that the way it works, or is it that people in your Telegram group sign up for individual alerts, or how is it structured at the moment?
This is like you get 5 a day for it's like a pretty active day. That's how not like how like we try to make it as we don't want to try and like our ethos at redsea is like less noise, more signals. So yeah, it's not very sensitive at all. So but this is across 5 to 6,000 cryptos that we're tracking. From that 5 to 6,000 we produce, yeah, maybe it'll pop off 5 times a day, 4 times max. That's a really busy day. And sometimes it's probably the same coin, which you'll
Okay.
probably will.
Very cool. So that's really nice. And it goes back to what you said about keeping things simple. I can imagine if you're a Telegram user and you're getting 50 alerts from redsea Crypto, you're like, okay, which one do I follow? But I really like the way you've done that. I mean, regarding this system, so when somebody gets an alert in your mind, what are you hoping they do? Are you looking for a conversation and then they purchase? Or are you looking for just some, okay, this is what's happening. I should sell, I should buy, I should hold. Does Moses tell people what to do, or is it just this is the information, you do what you want?
In the current incarnation in our current product, we've got some pretty crazy stuff in the work. But right now, what it does is there are 6,000 cryptos, and you only have so much capital that if you're in from a portfolio's perspective, you can't just buy every crypto. Then you might as well just be an index. But really, from this point, you could have a number of different strategies. You could literally just do what I'm doing and follow these things blindly. Again, this is not financial advice. So
Exactly.
sneak this disclaimer in again. So, what I'd recommend is it just should pique your interest, and you should probably then zero in on Moses is saying it. He's saying it for a reason. So you could probably do some more research, use all your other tools and tricks of the trade to determine on whether this is to be holding. Or you could just be like me and someone that really, to me, it's paramount. So I just really literally hold them all. Like sometimes it's not possible because not all 5,000 cryptos are available on the exchanges you want to trade on. I think DeFi is really making a lot more things accessible, which I think is awesome. But I try to hold as many of them as I can, and that's proven to be quite fortunate for me. It doesn't tell you when to sell, and that's the kind of the catch. But we've got some products in the works for that as well to help give indications on how long to hold for and things. And because we've been garnering this data for so long now, we're actually able to generate some of those things with quite impressive levels of accuracy, I think, anyway.
That's very cool. And I think that is somebody, maybe people who are interested in redsea Crypto or want to enter the beta. That's something that not just your current product, but something that people can look out for and say, hey, you're not just one and done. You're doing other things that people should be, pretty excited about. I have an idea of possibly where you're going, and just that possibility in my mind is making the cogs turn about what I should be doing. Moving on from that, what do you think, what is the next step for redsea Crypto? If somebody wants to participate in your beta and join your Telegram, I know how to do it because I've seen it from your actual Reddit. Maybe you want to tell people, are you still looking for people to join, or what kind of people, or what is the best way for somebody to join?
What I'd like to say is the kind of journey we've been on, something we really appreciate is first believers. And the internet can be a wild place. And it's every time we try to put the word out there and we're trying to garner interest, really we started off with the data and we're like, okay, let's get some objectivity. Let's get some people we don't know in front of this. Let's see what they do with it. Are we just seeing what we want to see? Are we reading tea leaves? And when we went out there, people were like, oh, wow, the response was so negative. And then there'd be people pushing their products on top of what we would say. And then every now and then someone would believe in us. Someone would go, oh, I love what you guys are doing. And don't worry about what everybody else is saying. So what that's really done for us is we really do value the people that come along and for some reason go, you know what? I'm not going to just think this is some other crap or like something that's not just going to waste my time or promise me the world and give me nothing. And we've really tried to hold back what we're promising. And we don't really have a very clear idea where we're going with it in terms of, I didn't start this with the idea that I really wanted to, with a very specific monetary goal in mind, or to build like this infinitely huge empire or things like that. So I guess there's been points at the point where the people involved, we've checked ourselves and gone, hey, if this is really yielding this like level of results, is this something we should be going public with? And we flirt with that line quite a lot. And so for us, I guess we're in a position where we really do appreciate the community that we're generating, and we see them as coming along the journey with us. And so if we might slow our roll with how much we want to make this public, but we definitely do value the people that have believed in us along the way. And I don't think we'll ever just completely close up shop, but we probably might just slow down how much we publicize what we're doing. So that being said, if people are interested, they can go to redseacrypto.com or they can go to the Reddit. It's really the same page. And just have a look at what we posted on the subreddit and sign up to the mailing list and subscribe, really. We basically try and talk to everyone that does subscribe. It's not like we're getting these huge amounts of unmanageable numbers. And we do genuinely care about the people that do believe in us first. So sure, that's the easiest way to get into the beta trials. But we haven't even put a price on this yet. We're not really. We might be looking at like flirting with the idea of, okay, all right, what is this worth to the current set of people that are using it? And people say, I wouldn't pay for this. That's good. Then we'll just know to focus our energy somewhere else or to go away and really just refine what products we're developing.
Thanks for that answer. I'll have the links that you just mentioned. I'll put them in the show notes for the podcast, and I'll put them in links for the YouTube video. I do want to go back, stepping out of the crypto sphere and going back to the regular stuff as a nice way to close out the show. So you mentioned this is your second time to try this again. Why are you taking a second go at this?
So the first time was really just to prove it to myself. I had this hypothesis. I saw that the trail ran cold. I had all this confidence from, doing it for real in the media organization. And it was so much fun, like doing it. When I was working at the media organization, we were cutting new ground. We were really trying to solve some really interesting problems. And I got some really good results. But then I had a lot of other stuff going on. I just finished an MBA and I really just wanted to take a bit of a break. I joined a disability startup. I felt like working for big media wasn't really the nicest thing to be doing. And so I felt like I'd just spend my energy and my talents in something a bit more wholesome. And I just thought, like, what am I in a rush for? I don't think I have the gas in the tank to really take this. So it wasn't a hard decision the first time. Now, like, it's very different. Now, I guess all the hype that's kind of happened my life was a bit stable. It's COVID, so many lockdowns is really, find yourself with all this time. I'm like, you know what? I actually have gas in the tank for this time. And so really I spent the first 2 months just building the system properly, and I was really excited to release it. Yeah, what I'm doing differently this time is I'm actually involving quite a large number of people. You've already had something to do with some of the other people involved, but now it's not just me. I'm getting specialists in every area. We have people in the ML space, some people have worked on ML AI and some really interesting products. They've had a look at the data that I've generated and some of the things, and they believed in what I was doing as well. So I think now there's a total of 8 people that are involved in this, and that's really given it a lot more momentum. Really what you're seeing now, those results and those graphs, those things that kind of were developed, and that's like the tip of the iceberg. What we're playing with behind the scenes and how far we've progressed things, I think it is seriously impressive. And I know I'm being quite vague and not really giving up much, but I think I would definitely say watch this space over the next 3 to 6 months.
For regular people who are maybe into crypto, they don't want to partake in the beta, but they want to follow you, maybe would it still be the subreddit or would it be Twitter? We just want to follow and see what you guys are doing.
Yeah, the subreddit is the best place. We want to build a community. I think we might actually switch away from the Telegram and just make a second private subreddit. So I think the platform is really good because it's going to allow discussion threads so people can actually discuss what they think of the alerts. Every single alert could be discussed. That way people can benefit off each other's analysis and not just it be completely about Moses and what he puts. So that's what we're hoping for. I guess just subscribing to the subreddit would probably be the best way to keep across what we're doing.
I'm already subscribed, of course, because that's how we met. Moving on, is there anything that you want to plug, you want to mention, anything you want to conclude with towards the end of today's show? You sent me a lot of pictures. You want to talk about any other of those? Or I think you hit on a lot of key points already. Your turn to plug whatever you want to plug, say whatever you want to say, philosophical, not philosophical.
No, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I guess I just want to say that for everybody, like one thing that I learned about doing this is there are our competitors, or I wouldn't say competitors. I don't think we're doing, but people in our space. When I was developing this, a lot of people would just be like, why would you do that? And even sometimes when we're trying to promote what we're doing, people will always plug these guys. And what I will say is that without giving up too much, I'd say just because someone's already done it, just because that might not be the whole story. And I really feel like for people in this space, it's definitely worth having a look yourself and not just looking at what someone else has done and that kind of not motivating you to do it as well, because you might do a better job of it, or you might not be getting the whole story. I know that I'm being a bit vague there, but I feel like if people that kind of subscribe to this podcast are there for inspiration, or just because they're also trying to develop something in the crypto space, I think that some of them would benefit from hearing. Maybe, like, definitely, I could have given up on what I've done because someone shared me this thing that someone's already gone to the hard work. Why would you do that? Without giving up too much away, or really not saying the nicest things about, which I think what our competitors or the other people are doing is really awesome. But I will say I definitely am super grateful, not just because now I have something I can productize, but actually just looking at the data I was able to see. And I would only have done that if I just stuck to my guns and just didn't get dismayed by the fact that someone else has already done it.
Hey, that's the perfect message. Just because someone's done something doesn't mean nobody else can. You can see that everywhere in the world, from food to electronics to services. And I think that is a good message just for people, whatever age you are, whatever you're trying to do. Don't give up, keep going at it, and you can come up with something cool like what you guys are doing at Redsea Crypto. And with that, Red, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here and talk with us and your product, as vague as it is. And I think you actually spoke about a lot of stuff very clearly and gave people a lot of interesting things, maybe exciting things to talk about. And thank you very much. And everyone, that's all we have time for today. I and everyone at ℚ𝕦𝕝𝕝 really appreciate you. Please don't forget to stop by our social media, Twitter at ℚ𝕦, Telegram at ℚ𝕦Tokens, stop by Discord or Telegram. We're also on Reddit as well. I'll have all the social media for Redsea Crypto as well in the show notes. So if you're listening to this and you want to see if there's still availability in the beta, don't forget to click on the link and go there and be nice and polite, of course. And don't forget to leave us a rating on your podcast app of choice. As usual, ℚ𝕦Tokens has people in various time zones, so if you want to pop by Discord or Telegram, we're always there. Red, thank you so much. Really amazing conversation today. I appreciate it. And I look forward to maybe chatting to you in 2022 once other things are happening, and maybe when you're more comfortable with we can be more open and we can talk about whatever else you're developing then.
No, awesome. Hey, thank you very much for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, totally fun. Thank you.